Good evening, everyone. I'm your evening host, Jaideep at Edo. Before we dive in, let me give you a quick glimpse into Edo. Edo is a global network of student and young professionals like yourselves, all passionate about inspiring youth to make a positive impact. We connect you with stabilized professionals and offers a platform to learn from their journeys. Now, on behalf of Team Maverick and Edo, we are thrilled to welcome you to this webinar on leadership and communication strategies for innovation, growth, and sustainabilities. To make this session even more engaging, we kindly request everyone to switch on their cameras. Okay. And now the moment we all have been waiting for. Our esteemed guest speaker for tonight is Ms. Rufaro. Ms. Rufaro is an advocate, global leader, philanthropist, verified social worker, and a UTC graduated. She is also the award winner of Future Africa Leaders. Ms. Rufaro, it's true honor to have you with us today. We are all eager to gain valuable insights from your expertise.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. So, as mentioned earlier, the webinar is on leadership and communication strategies for innovation, growth, and sustainability. So, we're going to be talking about leadership communication strategies that we can actually incorporate to actually have innovation, growth, and sustainability in all that we do, whether it's a project, whether it's on a like in our day-to-day basis, like in our general life. So that would be the first one. So the first question would be, what is leadership? Obviously, so many questions will literally get into people's minds on what is leadership, and everyone has their own perspective of what they think leadership is. But from my research and what I've gathered, leadership is the act of leading a group of people or an organization. So it could be you leading a group of like people, whether it's school, at work, or in your community, or maybe you're working in an organization and you're leading that particular group that you're assigned to work with. That is leadership. Leadership is also when one person is taking risks and challenges the status quo. So basically, it's more like you taking risk to make sure you're actually achieving the set targets, the set goals that you have actually written down for the particular project that you're embarking on, or for the particular project or organization that you're working on or with. Leadership also is when one has a clear communication skill with the people that they're working with, whether be it their peers, whether be it their boss, whether be it the people that are under them. So when you're a leader, you need to have at least a clear communication skills that you have, someone who's able to actually lead a group of people and a group of people within an organization, and someone who's able to actually take risks in different challenging situations. And then, so I have different styles of leadership here that I've put on like the chart that is below here. So we have 6 leadership styles. The first one is the coaching style. So here, the coaching style is when you say, try this. So basically, what happens in the coaching style, you're telling the people that you're working with, whether be it in a group or whether in that particular organization that you're within, that you're leading someone, telling the person that, oh, can you please try this, so that we see the outcome after the person has actually engaged in that particular skill or particular activity that you would have told them. So basically, as a leader, you'd inform someone, oh, can you please try out this particular, let's say, product that you're trying to actually evaluate and see whether you can actually continue using that particular product or not. So it's the coaching style, the first one. The second one is the visionary. So you come with me. So basically, when you're the visionary leader, you go with the members that you're working with. So let's say, for instance, you're working with a group of people and you literally go and engage in that particular project that you're doing with the people. It's not you just detecting, do this, do that, or you need to go do that. No, when you're a visionary leader, you actually go with them. You actually go implement that particular idea that you have set for the group, or the ideas that the group members have actually brought to the table. And then the third leadership style is commanding. So basically, commanding is do what I say. So this is the third style. So commanding is when the leader, you as a leader, you actually literally delegating the work with like to your members. So basically you're telling your members do what I say. So maybe you want them to do something, you tell them, oh, go and do this, do that, do that. It's you literally instructing the members or the people that you're working with in the organization or the group what to do within that particular project that you're actually working on. The fourth one would be affiliative. Affiliative is people come first. So basically, it's not you and your ideas. It's basically you need to make sure everyone who you're working with is on board and making sure everyone is in agreement with whatever you're doing. So it's not my ideas, my targets, and we run with the whole vision of the thing. It's literally you making sure that everyone in the group is okay, their well-being is fine, and then we can all actually get on board and actually work together. The fifth leadership style is democratic, which is what do you think? So as a leader, using the democratic leadership style, it's you basically asking the members that you're working with, what do you think after everyone has actually put their ideas down for that particular project or whatever you're about to embark on, you ask the people that you're working on with, what do you think on the particular ideas that we have actually gathered? Or maybe you have started using the ideas that have been suggested and maybe something is not actually working fine. So basically, as a democratic leader, you'd ask your members, what do you think? After having maybe 2 weeks in the project and you see maybe things are not working or you're not sure what's really happening, you'd ask the members that you're working with, what do you think on this? Do you think we should actually change, or do you think we should actually stick to the same plan that we had suggested from the beginning? So basically, that's the fifth leadership style. The sixth one is pace setting, which is do as I do now. So basically, it's more you as the leader, you're actually pace setting every single person. What you do is what they do. So it's do as I do. So whatever you're going to embark on, they're also going to do it. It's not like, or you leave the people that you're working with, or the people, your peers, or your colleagues doing whatever they want, and you're doing something else. No, as the pace setter, you're actually doing the exact same thing that the people that you're working with are actually doing. So these are the 6 different leadership styles that we have. And the question that I would have is, what style do you think you practice the most daily using these 6 leadership styles, which is coaching style, visionary style, commanding style, affiliative style, democratic style, pace setting style? So I'd like everyone to just think of the leadership style that they think they could actually be exuding every single day of their day basis. So the next thing would be, what is communication? As a leader, something that is actually very important for you to have, or a skill that you're supposed to have, is communication. Without good communication with the people that you're working with as a leader, you will not be able to achieve so many things. Whether you're working with timelines, you might not actually be able to actually reach that the goal that you have set for yourselves because of poor communication, or maybe there's misunderstanding between the leader and the people that you're working with, or your peers, your colleagues. So communication is one skill that is very important for every single person to actually have, because with communication, you resolve challenges. With communication, you resolve misunderstanding with the people that probably maybe you're working with service providers in that particular project, or wherever, maybe at work, with your peers at school, wherever. Communication is something that is very important for everyone. So communication is exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. Communication means is also a means of sending or receiving information, such as phone lines or computers. Communication also is verbal communication, in which you listen to a person to understand their meaning. So most of the time when we're doing communication, it's not only you as the leader only communicating and not also listening to what the people that you're working with are actually saying. For you to have adequate, or for you to actually reach the your highest potential whilst working with people, communication is very important. So when you say something to someone through communication, that's verbal communication. You also have to listen to what the person is also saying. Without you listening to what the peers or your colleagues or the people that you're working with in the organization or in the particular group that you're working with, if you can't listen to what they're saying, you're not going to be effective in anything that you're going to do, because most of the time you're going to do, they're going to be errors, they're going to be all these challenges that you would face, not only because these people don't know what they're doing, it's just because you as a leader, you don't want to listen, or you're not attentive to most of the things that the people that you're working with are saying. So as a leader, communication is very important. It's not only you talking, but it's also you talking and listening to what the people you're working with are also saying, in order to make the project a success, or the thing that you're working with, or wherever you are, be it just for a smooth flow of words, or even smooth flow of work in general. So communication is also nonverbal communication, in which you observe a person and infer meaning. So basically, communication is not only when you're talking or when the other person is talking, it's also you just knowing or looking at someone and just understanding their nonverbal communication. So nonverbal communication, we mean the body language, or how the person is probably presenting themselves. Let's say as a leader and you're working with a group of people, remember there's a part that we spoke about, how you have to understand like the wealth of the people that you're working with. So as a leader, you need to understand the nonverbal communication that you're like the people that you're working with. You might actually start working with someone who's sick, and because you didn't read the nonverbal communication, you missed that. So as a leader, you need to be able to actually read the nonverbal communication, because it's very important. It would actually show you whether the people that you're working with are also supporting what you're saying, or whether the people are not actually in line, or maybe they're not understanding what you're saying. So nonverbal communication and verbal communication is very important for someone to actually have good results. I'm seeing some. Okay. So sorry for that. So the next thing is what is communication strategies? So communication strategies, it is a set of actions aimed at improving internal communication. So obviously we spoke about communication and how it's important for you to understand verbal communication, listening to people, and actually understanding nonverbal communication. But there's something called communication strategies. Communication strategies, as I said before, the set of actions aimed at improving internal communication. So when you're talking about internal communications, it could be in an organization or in the group that you're working with. So without communication strategies, you can't be able to actually improve internal communications with the people that you're working with as a leader, or the people that you have been assigned to work with, or maybe at school. You can't, like, without communication strategies, you can't actually have improve your internal communications. Communication strategies is a strategy needed to establish communications between a manager and subordinates to build effective team collaboration. It might not necessarily be a manager and subordinates, but it could also just be a peer-to-peer or colleague-to-colleague. So without communication strategies, that effective team collaboration, whether it's a school assignment, whether it's university assignment, wherever you might find yourself in, like in society, without communication strategies, effective team collaboration or building it's very hard for you to actually have that connection between other people, because there's no strategy or communication strategy that is actually put in place. So types of communication strategies. So we have verbal strategy, non-verbal strategy, visual strategy. So these are 3 types of communication strategies that we have. Okay, at least the ones that I'm going to talk about today. The first one is verbal strategy. So it includes both writing and oral communication. So when we're talking about writing and oral communication, it's whether maybe you're writing a letter, an email. It could be you just writing a short note, or when we're talking about oral communication, it involves you actually speaking. So verbal strategy includes both writing. Maybe you're writing an email to your lecturer, or you're writing an email to your peers, or you're writing an email to your manager, to the people that you have been assigned to work with in a group, or in your organization as like in general. That's verbal strategy. And oral strategy, whether you're communicating with your peers, colleagues, boss, manager, anyone in general. So we have non-verbal strategy. It involves implicit signals such as gestures, intonation, smile, maintaining personal distance. So basically that's non-verbal strategy. So basically the gestures that you actually portray when you're talking to someone, whether you smile, how you're maintaining your personal distance with the person, because sometimes we might say, oh, you want to actually speak to someone whilst you're actually quite close to them. But for some people, it's uncomfortable. So for you to be able to have good communication strategies, and for you to actually pass your communication well to the people that you're working with, non-verbal strategy is something that you need to keep in mind, that, okay, when I'm talking to someone, maybe maintaining personal distance could actually be something that would work. Your gestures, how you're actually portraying your face. Are you frowning? Because some people, you might find yourself, you tend to frown when you're not conscious about it, but it's just happening. So just being aware of your non-verbal like communication is very important. Whether you maintain a smile, that could actually help in your communication as a leader to the people that you're working with, or not necessarily as a leader, but in general, because maintaining a smile or maintaining personal distance when you're talking to people is something that you could use on a day-to-day basis, like every single day, and just having good gestures whilst actually talking to people. There is visual strategy. Visual strategy incorporates primary visual content, like something that's just visual that you could literally see with your eyes. And then we have the strategies. So strategies that help connect better with your team. So it might not necessarily be your team. It could be your manager. It could be your peers, your colleagues at work. It could be people at home in general. These strategies you could also use. So the first one is resolve conflicts quickly. So if you look at the diagram that is below, you can actually see it's written how to improve team communication. So the first one is resolve conflicts quickly. So most times we tend to have a scenario where maybe, let's say, there's a conflict or there's a challenge that actually arises at work, or maybe with your colleagues, and you want to still linger with that small little conflict with the people that you're working with. Resolving conflicts quickly would actually help you to improve team communication, because let's say something bad happened that you were not expecting. You as a leader, or you as a colleague, just resolving the conflict quickly would actually resolve and also would actually cut the time that would have that we could potentially lose whilst having to go back and forth in this small little conflict with the people that you're the people that you're in a conflict with. So resolving conflict quickly would actually help in team communication, and also in better communication with the people that you're working with. The second one is encourage engagement. So literally most of the time, as a leader, or the people that you're working with, or maybe you're a colleague, or you have peers that you're working with, or wherever you find yourself in, we find ourselves that you might tend to be a person who wants to speak all the time, or you want to take the space in the room. Yes, it's obviously a good thing, and also it has its own cons. And that's one thing where when you're in a room, it's not necessarily all about, okay, it's this person and that's it. No, encourage engagement with the people that you're talking to. So don't always find yourself in a position where you're only talking and not also encouraging engagement from the person that you're talking to, because this person that you're talking to could also have potential good ideas that could help you save maybe time that was lost in the particular project that you're running, or save you time in probably maybe you're studying and that thing was not right the way you're doing something. So encouraging engagement with peers, with colleagues would help you in a team building setup or in an organization, or be it at school, at home, that would also work. The third one is promote bottom-up communication. So bottom-up communication, it's basically more like you see yourself as a leader. Don't always want to have the top-bottom approach where you're the only person who's giving ideas or doing things, or you're the lead person in just talking. Also encourage or promote bottom-up communication, where the people that that are actually under you can actually give you ideas, and it also goes the other way around, because that would actually save you more time. As a leader, that does not necessarily mean that all the time you're 100% correct. The people that you might actually be working with would actually have the best ideas that would actually help you reach the goal that you have, or even surpass the goal that you had set for the particular project that you're running, or for the particular event that you're probably working towards. So having or promoting bottom-up communication is important. That's the third one. The fourth one is strive for transparency. So always strive for transparency when you're working with people. Don't gatekeep things whereby you're like, oh, but I can't give them this information. When you're working with people, because considering the fact that when you started, you were transparent in telling them the goal, the aims that you're aiming for, or whatever that you want to achieve at the end of the project, or at the end of the event that you're doing, then it's also important to just be transparent throughout the whole process when you're working with people, because that would also make sure these people are aware of what's happening, the shortfalls that are happening, and how they can actually help you to actually counter those things that possibly could hinder the progress for the particular project or for the particular event, or whatever it is that you're working on. So being transparent from the beginning till you finish the project, the event, or whatever it is always advised. The fifth one is schedule one-on-one meetings. So when you're working with people as a leader, you need to always or be conscious of the fact that having one-on-one meetings with the people that you're working with is also important, because these people would definitely help you, or just getting to know the people that you're working with. It's not like, we need to understand that the people that we're working with are not robots. So you understanding their welfare, how they're doing, and just getting to know the people in general would actually help you. Even when you're assigned to do something later on, you'd know someone's strengths and their weaknesses just because of the fact that you actually spoke to these people, or maybe this person then told you, oh, I'm not good in this, or I'm not good in that. So having a one-on-one meetings with the people that you're working with is very important, because you'd actually get to see how, or maybe someone could be good in designing, and maybe you probably want to actually hire a designer from outside. Not If you hadn't had the one-on-ones meeting with this person, you wouldn't have known that this person is actually a good designer. So having a one-on-one meetings with the people that you're working with would actually help, because you get to know the people on a very normal basis, as like your peers and colleagues, not only the boss, the subordinate, or the boss, the employee. Knowing the people that you're working with as an employee, and not on a very personal level, would actually give you challenges. Not saying that, okay, sometimes boundaries are supposed to be kept, definitely, but just knowing these people like on a personal level is actually advisable, because you would know what's happening in their lives. You'd know the things that they can actually bring to the table to actually enhance the progress of the company, of the organization, or the project that you're doing. The sixth one is provide consistent feedback. So providing consistent feedback to these people is generally you giving feedback on the work that they did, or maybe someone actually achieved something in the group that you're working with. Providing consistent feedback would actually motivate the people that you're working with, because most times when people don't get feedback, or maybe they don't get a recommendation, or they don't get just the compliment of, oh, thank you for the work that you did. We were able to actually reach our target goal, our target audience, and all of those things. Someone can just be motivated and would want to actually do more in the future than having to just say, oh, okay, this person was just doing their job and that's it. So always providing consistent feedback, whether there's a shortfall, just inform the people, okay, there is a shortfall in this. So probably next time we could actually do this and this and this. So basically just knowing all of these things and just providing consistent feedback to the people that you're working with is very important. So I will just repeat some of these things, but then we spoke about them in the table that I showed earlier. The first one is let everyone speak. So you as a leader, you're not the only person that is supposed to be speaking within a group or within an organization. Engage other people whilst you're actually doing your project, or engage other people and just give people the room to actually speak and express themselves with their ideas and what they think they could actually you could actually potentially implement in the project that you're running or doing. So engagement is one of the most essential aspects of staff management. Then encourage active discussions between employees so that everyone feels a positive contribution. So it's not all the time that you have to speak. Encourage the active discussions between employees. So from employee to employee, from peers to peers, encourage those discussions, because people get ideas from other people. Some people are good in certain things, and that does not then mean, oh, okay, if they're good in this, then they're not good in that. You could actually be shocked that, oh, this person knows all of these things, but it's all the thing. You can only get to know all of these things only when you have active discussions, or encourage active discussions with the people that you're working with. So letting also other people speak and you listening would actually help you most of the times, because great ideas come from people, great contributions come from people only when they're given the opportunity to actually voice out what they are thinking or what they think could actually potentially help. The second one is encourage one-on-one communication. I spoke about that earlier. So one-on-one communication is important, especially when the people you're working with have sensitive issues that need careful handling. So maybe when you're in a particular group and someone probably did something, it's not all the time that you have to literally engage the person when everyone is actually available or everyone is there. If you see that, okay, this situation needs a particular handling, then having one-on-one communication would help you understand why maybe the person actually did what they did, because that could actually have an explanation. Maybe there is something along the lines why they probably did a wrong, they implemented something wrong, or something happened in the pipelines. So just having one-on-one communication with people would actually help you, because some situations could actually be sensitive and could then actually affect the people that you're working with if you don't handle them carefully. One-on-one communications help avoid misunderstanding, creating a favorable environment at all times. So with having one-on-one communication, you would avoid misunderstandings most of the time, because when people are in a group and people are just giving out their ideas, most of the times some people might then feel unheard, because it's the thing where within a group, obviously you're not going to get all the ideas of the people that you're working with. But if you're not really careful of that, someone might then think, oh, okay, I feel like maybe they're not considering my ideas, or maybe they feel left out just because maybe the idea was not implemented, or whatever they said was not given that much value within the group. So having communication, one-on-one communication would avoid misunderstandings, because you can actually explain to the person that, oh, okay, I couldn't do this. We couldn't actually implement your idea because of this and this and this. And then the person would actually understand, okay, this is the reason why the idea cannot be used for this particular project or event, because maybe it's sensitive information or something is not okay, so would actually perfect it for the next one. So having one-on-one communication is important. The third one, team building, creating friendly relationships between co-workers. Team building also, more goals will be met because of the relationship built between peers. So without team building, you can't do anything as a leader or anywhere in life, whether be it at work, at school. You can't do anything without team building, because when you're working with people, team building is important. That's where we get relationships, friendly relationships are built within the group or within the organization, between peers, between colleagues, even between the leader and the employee and whoever is within that group. That would actually help in friendly relationships. So everyone knows everyone. And with that, that would actually help the work progressing. Because most times, if people don't have a friendly relationship, we tend to not want to hear other people, because maybe you think this person is not good enough, or maybe you think you're good enough. So having friendly relationships within the group or within the organization that you're within, or the people that you're working with, or the people that you learn with, is always advisable, because it helps you progress in all that you're planning to do, be it at work, be it a project, event, or whatever that you're planning to do. The fourth one, celebrate achievements. So as I said earlier, celebrating achievements or just commending people of the work or giving feedbacks is very important, because the smallest, it could just be a very small achievement that you can just say, oh, this person, it's just a small achievement. It's very important for you to celebrate that achievement with that person, because that person would be motivated to do more in the next project that you're planning to do, in the next event that you're planning to do. So if you don't commend someone today, you're definitely going to be with that same person in the next project or in the next event. Hence, the person is not going to bring much to the table, because they would think that, oh, okay, with all that I did last time, no one commended me for this, or no one actually celebrated me for these small achievements. So why should I actually put more effort in this one this time? So just celebrating every achievement that you get in a project, in an event, is very important. And also celebrating the people that actually contributed to that success. It's also important. Be open to feedback. So as a leader, you're not the only person who's supposed to give feedback. You're supposed to also be open to feedback from the people that you're working with. So they could tell you maybe your leadership style, what they think you can actually improve, because it's not all the time that you're going to be working with these people. You could then end up working with someone who's actually strong-willed. Maybe obviously they might not be your leader, but they could be your employee or the person that you're working with, but they would definitely point it out to you. So be open to constructive criticism. As a leader, be open to get feedback from on the work you have been doing. So it's not all the time that you're obviously correct, but you need to be open to feedback, because that could also actually potentially help you in the next project that you're going to do, in the next event that you're planning, or you in general, like in your personal life. So there are 6 effective communication tools that you could use. So when you look at the diagram that we have, so there's communication tools, effective communication tools, which is email. So the first column has email, and good for updating large groups. So you need to be aware that when you're working with large groups, it's very important for you to understand, when you're working with large groups, there are certain things that you can't do, there are certain things that you can do. So when you're working with large groups, using an email as a way of communication is actually quite, it could, obviously depending with the type of group that you're working with, But email is advisable for you to actually use whilst you're working with a large group. So bad for time-sensitive collaboration. So when you want something to be done within a space of time, like maybe it's you have a project that you're working with, but you know there are time restrictions and certain things. And if you know maybe you want feedback from these people that you're working with in the next 5 minutes or in the next 30 minutes, you know an email might not just be the right mode of communication to actually use, because some people actually don't look at their emails quite often. So just making sure that, okay, you know the people that you're working with, the large group that you're working with, yes, it's a good mode of communication, but it's bad for time-sensitive collaboration. So maybe there's certain work that needs to be done now, or maybe there's certain group pairing that is supposed to be done. Email might not just be the right communication tool to use. It works for collaboration to meetings. So maybe for emailing, it only works when you have collaboration to meetings, maybe meetings where we're having a meeting or we're having a webinar or something, that's when it actually works. Then we have collaboration to casual team discussions and brainstorming. So when you're having a large group, casual team discussions and brainstorming, there's also meetings between disparate teams. There's also reaching a determined goal in less than an hour. Then a phone call agent matters. So all the time when you want something, maybe there's something that's quite urgent that has to be addressed or has to be done. Agent matters only. Always make sure you use a phone call, because most of the time you might say, oh, okay, I sent you an email, or I did this and this and this, or I sent you a text, but the person might not actually see the text when you want them to see it. So using a phone call or just calling the person and actually just alerting them to whatever you want the attention to be at, then that's also just important. Then phone calls are bad for situations when you want to use one of these other tools. So let's say you want to use face-to-face meetings, video conference, collaboration tools, and email. So sometimes you just have to see whether the phone call is very ideal or it's not ideal. Then phone calls also works for video conferencing. And then for face-to-face meetings, it's good for reaching a determined goal in less than an hour. So face-to-face meetings, you definitely know the person is literally there physically. So you can actually have a meeting with the person, and it's good for that. And it's bad for anything that can be achieved with email or collaboration tools. Then face-to-face meetings works with email collaboration tools. Then the video conference, it's good for meeting between disparate teams. So maybe you're grouped into two different groups. Video conferencing is actually an ideal way to actually have a meeting on a video conference, because you can actually address both like teams together at once. It's video conferencing is bad for routine check-ins. So basically, if you're having routine check-ins, you can't have a video conferencing. Maybe having a face-to-face meeting would actually work, because you can actually be able to read the verbal communication, the non-verbal communication. Whilst using video conferencing, you can't necessarily get the non-verbal communication that someone could actually be expressing. So using face-to-face meetings would actually be the best way to actually have routine check-ins with the people that you're working with. So basically, these communication tools are very important. So you need to look at the group that you're working with. Is this actually feasible? If it's not, then what can you actually use? Just like I mentioned that for routine check-ins, you can't do video conferencing. Rather, you can do face-to-face conferencing, because that's the easiest way, just to eliminate situations where you think, oh, everyone is okay in the group that you're working with, and hence maybe someone is actually sick, because in a video conferencing, someone can tell you, oh, I can't put on my camera at the moment, or maybe they could, and then they could just be sitting there, but then maybe they're actually ill. So having face-to-face, you can actually see all of these things. You can see how the person is, the feedback that they're giving with just their gestures, and maybe how they are actually responding to everything that you're saying. So this is basically the leadership and communication workshop webinar that I came up with. So now I'm opening up any questions that anyone could have at the moment. Okay. Does it mean no one has questions? Okay. So that's
So,
fine. So, okay.
wait, Miss, thank you, Miss. Thank you, Ms. Rufaro. I request the participants to submit their doubts and questions in the chat box, and Ms.
Oh,
Rufaro will answer them accordingly. Ms. Rufaro, I think there is a question in chat box.
okay. I just saw the question. So the question is, in what ways can transparent communication enhance trust and collaboration among team members, leading to innovation? So, as I mentioned earlier, having transparency with the people that you're working with, it will definitely enhance trust because I'll give you a small scenario whereby, let's say, it's a particular group that you're in, and your leader, when you started, they tell you the budget, they tell you everything that's maybe for the particular project that you are working on. So definitely the budget is given to you, the things that you're going to be working with, your service providers is given, the time frame for the project, maybe the goals and aims of the project you're actually given. So basically, let's say this particular leader, after they were transparent with you about the budget and all of these things, when you start the project, they then just go silent. They're not telling you, okay, within our budget we're left with, we have used up this. Like things are just seemingly dodgy and you don't understand what's happening. So basically, your leader actually telling you what's happening, whether be it in terms of the funds, the finances, whether let's say there's a short or all of these things, maybe we have to work on the funding and stuff like that. That would actually enhance trust within the group because obviously everyone would then think, okay, we are on this together, and the leader in general actually trust us to be able to actually be revealing all of these things, and maybe the leader actually incorporating us and asking us, okay, what could we potentially do to make sure we don't lose funds, or to make sure we don't um, engage or lose something in the process or have challenges. That would actually enhance the trust and collaboration among team members, because if your leader does not inform you of certain things, then definitely you're going to question yourself, okay, so what are we doing? Why do we have these and this and this and this not done? And yet the leader told us that we have so and so budget. So the leader just informing you from the beginning and just updating you every single time would actually help you, because let's say we are short in finances, or our budget is running out, and we all know the budget for that particular project. Definitely certain people in the group would actually help you. Okay, they would come up with ideas. Okay, we could actually do this to raise up money, or to do something to actually make sure we don't run out of the funds that we expected to actually use up for the project or for the particular event that we're working on. So just making sure that transparency is literally from the beginning to the end would actually help in innovation, because someone can bring up an idea that we can actually all use for the project and could actually save us tons of money, rather than the leader just telling you, okay, the budget is, we are doing this, our aim is, and no one is actually telling you anything from when you start up until you're done. And then we tell you, oh, the leader tells you, oh, because of our budget, we could not be able to actually achieve the aim for this particular project. But the question would be, but what happens to the funds? So it's a thing where transparency would definitely help enhance trust and also help in leading to innovation, because someone actually can bring up an idea that could actually help you potentially not lose funds or actually help us to actually increase our funds to make sure the project is met. I hope I answered the question.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The second one is, what roles does feedback play in leadership communication? And how can it drive continuous innovation and improvement? Okay, so as earlier as I mentioned that giving feedback actually so the question, I'll just read it again. What role does feedback play in leadership communication, and how can it drive continuous innovation and improvement? So with feedback, generally, if someone gets feedback, they would know when or where they got everything wrong. Maybe they are doing a project, or maybe something they're doing an event or working on an event. So basically, getting feedback from the leader or the bottom up approach where the subordinates actually give the leader feedback, that would actually help you in terms of driving continuous innovation. Because, okay, just imagine when your leader tells you, okay, Rufaro, you could have done this and this and this in this particular project, but instead I had done the other way around, and that obviously messed up everything. That then means that in my next project, I would definitely know what to do. And hence, if I'm going to bring a new idea to make sure I don't do the same problem or the same thing that I did in the previous project, that would help me or my team members actually helping me. Oh, okay, Rufaro, you did this. So why not do this, this, and this? These are new ideas actually coming up. These are new ideas that actually brought up to me to actually implement in my next project. And I know in the next project, I would not do the same mistake and hence would actually have a good outcome. So basically feedback is an important, plays a very important role in leadership communication. I don't know if I answered that or, yeah.
Answer well. So,
Okay.
So as we are near the closing ceremony, before we depart, we would like to thank Ms. Rufaro, Dinesh sir, Simran ma'am, Pradeepta sir, and my dear teammate for making this session webinar a success. ADO connects you with stabilized professionals and offers a platform to earn from their journeys. So if anyone is interested, you can visit the website. We have shared the link in the chat box. We request to give your valuable feedback. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. The webinar is now complete and you may now leave the meeting. Thank you.